Hello and welcome to another video lesson with Mr. Roman. Today we're going to be reviewing the area and perimeter of triangles, squares, and circles. So let's start with the triangles. And the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. And really in class we looked at two main types of triangles here. We looked at a triangle like this, and we looked at a triangle like this. And we need to know exactly what the base and the height are in these triangles. And we can consider the height to be a segment or a line that is drawn from one vertex of the triangle to the opposite side at a 90-degree angle. So here we start this line at a vertex and we go to the opposite side of the triangle at a 90-degree angle. Here we can say that we're starting this height at the vertex and coming down to the extended side of the triangle, the opposite side of the triangle, at a 90-degree angle. So this distance here would be the height of this triangle. This distance here would be the height of this triangle. Then we need to know what the base is. And basically the base is the line that, or the side that the height intersects. So here we start at this vertex and the side that the height intersects is here. So this would be considered the base. Here, our height is starting at this vertex and going to this side. So we would consider this length from here to here as the base. Not the full distance from here to here, okay? Just from here to here is the base. So let's say I threw some numbers in here where I said 13, 13, let's say 6, and let's say 17 here. And then on this triangle we had 12, 8, 3, 7, and 5. And so let's start with this triangle here. We have the height is 6, the base is 17. So we have the area of this triangle would be equal to 1/2 the base, which is 17, times the height. And here, if you multiply these three numbers together, you should get the area as 51 units squared. So here, the base of this triangle, 51 units squared. Next, if we look at the other triangle, we can see that the height here is going to be 5. So area equals 1/2 the base. The base in this case would not be 11. So we wouldn't take the 3 plus the 8 and say 11. Instead, we're talking about just the length of the side that the height would intersect. Since we extended that base out here a little further, we really only need to take the original base. So the base being 8, and the height here being 5. So again, we can say that the area of this triangle would be 20 units squared. Now the perimeter of these triangles is really just adding up the sides of all their, or adding up the lengths of all their sides. So here we would say 12 plus 8 plus 7 would be the perimeter, and that would be 27 units for the perimeter of this triangle. Here we would say 13 plus 13 plus 17. So here we have 30 plus 13, which would be 43 units. So the perimeter here would be 43. Now let's talk about circles. So the area of a circle, the formula is pi r squared, and r here represents the radius. The perimeter of the circle has a special name, and it's called the circumference of the circle, so the distance around the circle. And that's represented by pi times the diameter, or it's also equal to 2 times the radius times pi. So if I was given a circle with the center point here, and we were told that this is 10. Well, here what we're referring to is the length of the segment from here to here, which is in fact the diameter of the circle. Diameter of the circle. The radius of the circle would be from the midpoint, or the center point, to an outside point on the circle. So here, since the whole diameter is 10, we know that the radius has to be 5. And a lot of students get these two confused. Okay, the diameter is twice as long as the radius. So here, if we wanted to find the area of this circle, we would say pi times 5 squared. We wouldn't use the 10 here. 10 would be incorrect. And again, we're not multiplying 5 by 2, we're actually squaring it, which is 25. So we have 25 times pi, which then we can type into our calculator. 25 times pi would equal 78.5. So 78.5 here as the area, and that's units squared. Then, talking about the circumference of the circle, again, circumference being the distance around the circle, we could use one of two formulas here. We could use pi times the diameter, so pi times 10 as the diameter, or we could use 2 times the radius, which is 5, times pi. And here you see that the 2 times 5 is going to end up being the 10 anyway. So really here we can say that the radius is going to be 31.4 units. So 10 times 3.14 would be 31.4 units for the circumference of the circle. Next, we'll talk about another figure. If you were told in an example that you had a regular polygon and it had vertices at A, B, C, and D. And we know that regular polygons, all the sides are congruent and all the interior angles are congruent. And since we're dealing with a polygon with 4 vertices, we can say that it has 4 sides to this polygon, which is in fact a square. So a regular polygon with 4 sides is in fact a square. And let's suppose then we had the points of the vertices for the coordinate plane. So let's say we had point A was -4, 6. Point B was -1, 3. Point C was -4, 0. And point D was -7, 3. So these are the vertices of the regular polygon, which is in fact a square. And if we wanted to, we could plot these points on the graph to help us give a better visual. And we would see that this is point A, point B, point C, point D. So in this polygon, we have the 4 vertices, and if we're trying to find the area